There's something to be said for just bite-sized puzzle games. Little cute games that you could just play through at your own time in small chunks. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Choo Choo Rocket, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, and Tako no Marinade. And I will certainly forgive you if you've never heard of this game before, because it never left the Dreamcast and in fact never left Japan. It's not like it doesn't have any pedigree though. Ichiro Itano, the art director for this game, also worked on Vampire Hunter D for the PlayStation, Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2 for the PS2, and one of the Macross games on PS1. One of the other devs here worked on Mischief Makers for the N64. Some of these are names that you will have seen as credits in games that you've played. But that's enough of that, let's get into what Tako no Marinade is all about. It's a very cutesy point and click puzzle game made up of different worlds, each with their own stages and boss. As you go along, you'll unlock items that help you progress and rescue characters who've been turned into funny little creatures. And it is a lot of fun to play. We'll get into how it all works later, but let's try and get a little bit of setup going here. Now I don't speak Japanese, so you'll have to forgive me, but from what I can figure out, this little girl here who's our main character is having a look at this weird pot here with this dude over here who I'm guessing might be her dad. I'm not sure if this is something that they've bought or it's an antique or they found it in the attic or something, I've got no idea. But somehow interacting with this pot creates some kind of magical spell that either turns her dad into an octopus or sends her dad away and then an octopus turns up. Unclear what's going on really to me. But that now starts this premise where we go on missions with the octopus, going through different worlds and helping people who've been transformed into funny looking pig cat thingies. The structure of the game's pretty simple. I mentioned Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker earlier, and that's the thing that it most reminds me of. You get put into these little micro stages, all of which look really nice by the way. I love the 3D low poly look of the stages with the 2D sprites running around. I always like that combo. And your goal is normally to navigate your way from the starting point up to the flag on the other side of the stage, going through different obstacles in a different order of operations depending on what's going on with the stage. Sometimes you'll get detours where you can take alternate routes to save different characters or get different items. For instance, you can't punch through big blocks at the start of the game, but that does become important as you go on. So somewhere in World 2 you find a treasure chest with hand cream that lets you punch through blocks. Somewhere in World 3 you find another item that helps you to walk in water and not take damage from fire hydrants, of which there are a lot in this game. Let's give a bit of an example of how this all works, because the play is quite unique. Like I say, it's point and click, so wherever you click is where the character's gonna go. But the way you're facing is also important. Now on this stage here, we want this bomb to drop down into the valley and blow up the fence. But if you click on the bomb and have the character just run straight there, she'll push it the wrong way. So what we actually have to do is click on something further in the stage so that she'll run past it, then stop her mid-run and then get her to interact with the bomb. That's one of the ways that this game adds challenge. You can't move the character freely and you can't just click on any square, she'll only go towards objects of interest. And like in this stage, sometimes you don't want it to go straight to that thing, you might want her to go past it and interact with it in a different way. Whenever you come up to an object, there is always a default action that she'll want to do, so rolling a bomb or kicking a fire hydrant or eating a flower, but you can make her do other things by pressing B before she interacts, and then you get this list of commands and you can make her do different things, and sometimes that's one of the ways you can get through these stages too. As you might gather from the aesthetic here, I'm pretty sure this game is aimed at kids, so the challenge level is not super high, although there were some stages that left me scratching my head a little bit and I had to have a good think before I got through them. And at no point throughout the game did I become any clearer on why my best friend's an octopus, or why my arch enemy is some kind of king dressed as a luchador. But it also doesn't really matter to me, because it's fun as hell, it's nice and colourful, and it just feels good to play. I'm not aware of anything that Micro Cabin went on to do after this, although like I say, they do have alumni attached to franchises that you probably have heard of. At the time of recording this video, there's no English patch for this game, but also there's not a particularly high language barrier. The characters do talk to each other in stages or sometimes in little cutscenes, and although I couldn't tell what they were saying, I was still able to work out what I needed to do in each stage, so it didn't become a hindrance to my progress. Nonetheless, it would be lovely to fill in some of those gaps in my knowledge of the lore and really work out what's going on, so here's hoping for a patch one day. Tako no Marinade is a really unique and fun puzzle game. Like I say, the closest thing I can think of is Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, but even then it's not a like-for-like comparison. I would heartily recommend it to any Dreamcast enthusiast, and really anyone with a slight interest in puzzle games. It's just a nice and accessible little trip. As always, I hope you had a nice time visiting this channel, and if you did, please like, sub, bell, comment, all the other stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.